All right. Welcome, everyone. We're back after a 2-week break here. Johnny, hopefully you had a good holiday break.
Yeah, it was good. What is it? My boys would probably say it's better. I'm not much of a fisherman, but we went out and caught a bunch of fish, right? For me, that's a
Nice.
little boring. I prefer business and wealth building, but they had a blast, so it's good.
Cool. Where'd you guys go?
Went out to Orlando, Florida, as well as the Tampa, St. Pete area. So we
Oh,
were um, went to Sarasota Beach and went to Tampa Bay to fish, as well as the Gulf, right? Gulf of
nice.
America, right?
Awesome. Awesome. I was wondering, like, you guys must have been like ice fishing or something. That's what I was imagining at first.
Nope, nope. We're in warmer weathers.
Okay.
They had showed a picture of the United States, right? And where the warmest area was, and Florida was at 75, and I think California was at 60, and we were at like 5 degrees. So
Oh
it's
yeah, in Minnesota. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, Minnesota here. So,
Nice.
but
Nice.
what about you,
Yeah.
man? What about you?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was I went to the other side of the Gulf of America. Went to visit my beach house for Thanksgiving in Crystal Beach, Texas. It was a nice break. It was actually pretty warm too. Actually, the first day we were there, first and second day, I think it was like 80s. So pretty nice swimming weather. Actually, kids were still swimming. So that was pretty awesome. We got to enjoy the beach a little bit. We had to do some maintenance, some touch up painting, some touch up cleaning, things like that, as we do rent it
Okay.
out part time. So doing some maintenance stuff, but it was crazy because we haven't been there for over a year. So since we've had our last baby, so we haven't been there for a long time. But nice to see that everything is still overall pretty good.
Nice.
So
That's really good, actually. I mean,
yeah,
that's super good.
hmm yeah. So yeah, so we're back at it here. First show in December here, and so a couple shows back, we had talked about we had shared all the different kinds of investing, right? Um, and all we went kind of high level, like all the different types of investing. So we figured for the today's episode, we're gonna get a little bit more of a deep dive into how does someone get their first investment property, right? And pretty important um, episode, especially at this point in the year. We are in December, right? Where you mentioned, a lot of people are kind of relaxing, winding down for the end of the year,
Yeah.
reflecting possibly, right? And then there's people like us who like, hey, how did the year go? And what are we going to plan to do next year, right? So we're already
Yep.
in 2026 mode. We're already planning, right? And
Yep.
so this type of episode, might be great for you to listen now or in a couple weeks here while you're enjoying the Christmas break, right? And thinking about ways to strategize for next year, right? On what you might want to do. So we're going to
Yeah.
talk a little bit. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Can I add something real quick?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so in December, a lot of people go into vacation mode, right?
Mhm,
I mean, we both just got back from vacation, but still they go into vacation mode. While I was on vacation, I was working, and it sounds like you were too, right?
mhm.
And for us, it's like that's the time for you to get ahead, right? While everybody else is taking a break, we're jumping in, we're diving deep, and we're trying to build, our businesses. And so instead of winding down and relaxing, right? I mean, you can relax, right? But figure out your 2026 plans, right? And get things going. So that's all I wanted to add.
Oh, yeah, 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 definitely. I mean, yeah, we were relaxing the beach a little bit, but then we actually went to Dallas and just did some house hunting. So looking at potentially picking up a short-term rental in Dallas. So
Mhm.
we'll see what happens. But
Nice.
looked
Good
at
luck, man.
yeah,
That
looked
sounds
at
really cool.
3 properties. So all right. So let's get into today's episode 11. We're going to talk about, the blueprint to your first investment property, right? And so step number one, really, that a lot of people get stuck at right before they even do anything is mindset, right? They think it's a great idea. They get fired up. they're going to do it. And then the fear starts to creep in, right? The doubt. Before they even take the first step, they're thinking, like, so we're talking rental investment properties here. You and I, we've worked with a lot of investors, beginners, right? Even some so-called, you know, seasoned investors. They get scared from time to time, right? And it's normal. It's normal. But before they even take action, they start thinking, well, what if I get bad tenants? Or what if this breaks? Or what if that breaks, right? Have you seen it? Right, right.
Absolutely, man. That happens all the time. It happens, I mean, to the best of us, including myself, right?
Yep, yep.
You get in, you're thinking about it, right? And you're like, all right, I'm ready to go. And then you start talking to a realtor, and you're like, wait, maybe I'm not ready, right?
Mhm,
And
mhm.
so yeah, there's and then you go back to analyzing, right?
Right,
Will the
right, right.
numbers work? Am I
Or
doing
you
the
talk to
numbers
a loan
right?
officer and you're like, wow, this could be a lot of money.
Mhm.
Right?
Yep.
Numbers
'Cause
start
it's not,
don't look good.
yeah, it's not normal down payment, right? It's not your 3 to
Mm,
5% to get in.
correct.
You're talking more money for these types of properties if you plan on jumping in and not having a partner, right?
Right. It depends on the strategy, right? Which we're going to get
Mhm.
into, right? So
Yeah.
we're getting into the different types of loans and strategies and what's the plan, right? How do you secure the bag, right? The funds.
Yeah.
But step number one, of course, is the mindset, right? You kind of have to remember why why you're doing this, right? And for a lot of us, I mean, for me, it's controlling my own destiny, right? Having my own source of income, right? I came from an experience where I got laid off from a what I thought was a secure job. I realized real quick I don't control that job, right? They can let me go anytime, and so that's kind of where I was like, hey, you know what? I gotta create another source of income that I can control, right? And so for me, investment property was the vehicle, right? Um, so you gotta really remember why you're starting this, right? And yes, it's gonna be difficult. Yes, there will be some hurdles. There will be some points where you do have to deal with tenants that maybe not be paying you, or they're the communication becomes bad or whatever, right? There's gonna be some pain points, but you do have to realize that's part of the game, and you gotta learn as you go, right? You're not gonna have everything figured out before you go, right? Did you figure everything out before you started?
You know, I thought I did, right? Because I'm an underwriter, right? And you're an engineer. We usually like to pre-work so many documents and so many analysis before we jump in. And I thought I had everything down. And then I jump in and the city's like, you need an inspection before you can rent that house out. Oh, you need a license too. And I was like, wait, hold up. Like, when did this go into effect? And it was like a year before, because all my analysis has been done over, the last 5 years or something like that. And so a year before I started, they started requiring licenses. And of course, you learn just a ton along the way. Yeah.
Right, right. So, right. So just the biggest takeaway from this section is that, just get started. A little bit of action beats, not doing anything, right?
Mhm.
And just get going, because you don't have to be perfect at it. You don't have to know everything to get started, but you just have to get started, right? So that's the biggest thing. And
Mhm.
then kind of like the, next thing is that, you know, it's your first investment property. You're not going to get rich off of this one, right? Um, Very unlikely, right? It's going to be more of a learning experience. You have to realize that going in, right? Um, Real estate investing is not a get rich quick scheme, right? The-
Uh,
it's a get rich slowly, and for sure, because over very long periods of time, historically, real estate values tend to go up, right? Um,
mhm.
so if you're getting into this game because you want quick money and you're thinking you're going to double your money within a year, 2 years, it may not go that way. So yeah,
It's
um,
possible,
it's
possible,
possible,
yeah,
but
but not
nobody
likely.
really, yeah, nobody really has a crystal ball, right? Like that.
Right.
And real estate, honestly, it moves slowly. Like, you can't get in and get out of a property quickly, right? It's not like stocks where you can buy today, sell tomorrow, right? It's a
Mhm.
process, right? If you want your money out of a house, you want to get the refi, get the equity out and use it again, what's it going to take? 15, 30 days,
Yeah, approximately.
right? So, yeah, have patience, right? So, um, and then next section, I guess, for you to think about before you get started is, are you ready, right? Um, so things like, what's your credit score, right? Um, and then other thing that people think about is timing of the market, right? They, a lot of people tend to think, oh, it's a bad time, or all the values are up. There's no deals, right? We hear that all the time, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Or there's a crash coming. Oh no, no, it's not a good time, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it might be like, oh wait, I don't have enough money yet, or I don't have this yet, until I get to this point, and then I'm gonna do this, right? It's a lot of that talking, all right, a lot of noise. And I think when you're ready, you just make the decision to become ready, and then you figure things out, right? I mean, that's kind of how I operate, I guess, now. You got to go find the funds, right? Either that means, like you mentioned earlier, a partner. Go find a partner. If you
Mhm.
don't have the money, go find a partner. Maybe you've got great credit, so your partner can leverage your credit, and then you leverage somebody else's down payment. Right?
Yep. Yep.
So there's many options this game, and you just got to kind of have to go out there and figure it out, right? Um, so as far as the timing goes, like we said, nobody has a crystal ball, you know.
Mhm.
People might think that we're already in a crash, right? Or maybe people might think we're already at the peak, but nobody really knows. It could keep going up from here, right?
Yep.
Um, right. Since the last crash, the major one, 2007, right? I swear it's been like 2018 ish. People were predicting a crash. We didn't crash. We went after COVID. It went crazy, right? It shot up, and then even even when the rates went up after COVID, from what 2 to 6%, people are like, oh, now it's got to crash, right? Guess what? We're still up, right?
Mhm.
And the rates are coming down again now. It went up as high as eights. Now we're back down to kind of the low six, which is, if we go under six, is the market going to crash in your opinion, Johnny? If we go under six?
Yeah, no. Um, there's so many people waiting, right? There's so many people waiting. There's so many the population is there.
Yeah.
The amount of buyers, like right
Hmm.
now, we're in winter states, right? So
Hmm.
you're in Wisconsin, I'm in Minnesota.
Yep.
We got buyers that are like, you know what? I'm gonna wait until after Christmas because I have a lot of things going on in the holidays, and I'm just too busy right now. And they're getting ready to to buy come, January 15th, right? They're gonna be looking again.
Hmm.
Um, but that being said, I also have like people who plan on selling because they plan on making moves, right? So
Hmm.
if they plan on selling, the likelihood is that they're gonna buy somewhere else. And
Yep.
so we already, we're engaging our team members to make sure, like, so I think I have a client that, they're going to sell here in Minnesota, they're going to buy in Florida, right?
Nice.
Um, and they're getting ready to make the shift. And
Mhm.
um, you have people that are just, making moves out there. And those are the people that are actually doing something. The people that are not, they're just waiting. They're waiting. Everyone hears that the interest rate's supposed to be coming down, right? We're going to be changing the Fed chair uh soon here. That's my assumption is that that's going to happen soon here. Um and if that happens, and let's say President Trump has it his way, he's gonna have them, we already heard that quantitative tightening has been lifted, right? And the question now is, are we gonna go right into quantitative easing, right? And if you don't know what that is, look it up, do some research. But we expect interest rates to go down, which means that people will have more capacity to buy. And if they have more capacity, look, if I'm an investor and rates go down, I am jumping in. right?
Right.
And the reason I say that is because when interest rate is cheap, especially if they come out with this 50-year mortgage, right? I mean, I don't know. That it's almost like borrowing free money, right? You take that money, you buy these large properties, and then you just watch it go up in value because there's going to be more demand when the interest rate is high when the interest rate is low, and it's a supply and demand thing. Each city is
Mm.
going to be a little bit different from another, right? So when I speak, I pretty much speak from my local area in the Twin Cities, but my thoughts are is that it doesn't matter where you are. If interest rates come down, people are going to jump in. So
Yep, I agree. And so, like you said, supply and demand. Everybody, everybody's kind of waiting. If you're waiting for the rates to drop, everybody else is too, right? And as soon as somebody
mhm,
sees it, or everybody starts seeing it, everybody's gonna jump in. But if you're already in the market, you're already pre-approved, and you're already shopping, when that rate drops, you're already ready to offer, right?
mhm,
You're already a
mhm.
step ahead of everybody else, right?
Yep, yep,
And I think just the last point here is that right now, this current, the time that we're in right now, which is December, right before the new year, right? It's the winter seasonal slowdown, right?
mhm,
Meaning that less buyers, less competition, and also potentially less sellers. Because again, maybe sellers are like buyers, where I'm going to wait till spring to sell because that's when the most buyers come out. Um, However, right now, obviously, if you're a seller and you're going to sell to buy something else, then you're going to put yourself in that same situation, right? Once you sell, you're in the
mhm.
same boat as all those other buyers, right?
Yep,
Um, so it doesn't really help you too much. But the point is that right now is the perfect time for buyers to buy if they want to be able to negotiate the price, get inspection, and buy for under list price. um Speaking in general, right? Obviously, if it's a super premium location that everybody wants to get into, if it's great property, there's still going to be like competition there, right?
mhm,
But
mhm.
overall, we're seeing right now in lots of markets, even the southern markets right now, the markets are slow, right? Cape Coral, you were just probably down that area, that leads the nation in like days on market, how slow it is, right?
Yep.
And they're one of those boom bust markets, right? Same with Vegas. Vegas is a boom bust market, right? Um, so if you are, if it's in your cards that your strategy to get any kind of property in Sunshine State, whatever, whether it's a second home or a new home or whatever, this is your opportunity, right? Um, and it's same here. Like if you're looking to buy a house or investment property locally, wherever you're at, this is the time for you to go out and look and negotiate and get those deals and opportunities, right? Because when there's less competition, buyers are more motivated, right?
Yeah,
Especially, sorry, sellers are more motivated,
sellers are more motivated, yeah.
especially sellers who have to sell, right? The only sellers
Mhm.
that are on the market now are the sellers who have to sell, right?
Yeah, totally
Which,
agree.
right? So, yeah. Um, so let's move on here. Um, So the other thing, I mean, if you're trying to buy an investment property, right, you have to learn how to underwrite, right? So let's move on to underwriting. If you're looking at investment properties, you have to understand what rents are going for in your area, right? So that's one thing that you have to be knowledgeable on. And of course, you can leverage a real estate agent like us who knows the area well, right, and can tell you, like if you're the real estate agent you're interviewing or you're going to use can't tell you the values of properties roughly in certain neighborhoods as well as the rents and how quickly things are going, they may not be the right professional for you to use, right? Same with the loan officer, right? If you're talking to a loan officer, they don't understand, like, hey, the loan programs and the down payments that you need, or the different types of solutions that are available for an investor, right? They don't understand what those options are, then they may not be the right loan officer for you to be using, right? Funny enough, I had a client who was trying to buy a duplex to live in, and he went to talk to his local credit union, walks in the door, and he's like, "Hey, I want to buy this one. I want to do. I want to buy a duplex. I want to live on one side, rent the other." And the loan officer looked at him and said, "Hey, yeah, here's an arms loan for you." So like adjustable rate mortgage, right? 5-7 year adjustable rate mortgage. Like I told him no, he's telling you the wrong things.
Yeah,
You should be
that's
able to get a conventional 5% down, live in one unit, right? They're fixed 30 years, right?
yeah.
Don't mess with the arms. I mean, arms, they have a time and place, but um, but anyway, so understand the rents, hook up with a if you want to know how to calculate mortgage payments, things like that, just Google a mortgage calculator, right?
Mhm.
So kind of like very simply to underwrite a deal. I mean, you have your purchase price or what you want to buy it for, right? You run it into your, if especially if you're going to use a loan, right? You use a mortgage calculator to understand your payments, things like that. Your monthly payments. Don't miss your taxes, right? Property taxes, don't leave that out. Insurance, right? If you don't know what insurance rates are, again, talk to an agent, talk to a loan officer, talk to an insurance agent, right? Um, right, get those things. And then you have all these budgets, right? And the most important thing is that you understand how to calculate the numbers, right? Because your real estate agent or your loan officer could calculate these numbers for you. But if you don't understand what they mean and where they're coming from, it means probably nothing for you, right? We could tell our clients all day, hey, this is a great deal. And then they simply believe us and they go buy it, right? But that's, I don't know, that's not how I operate.
Well, everybody runs business differently, right? And everybody brings something different to the game.
Mhm,
And what that means is that, for example, I see a property, I look at it, like I have a property right now that's listed. It's a duplex, and it's it's run down, right? It's been beat up by tenants over the years. And the landlord's like, I don't have time to fix it, nor do I have the money to put into it before I sell it. Can we just list it the way it is? And the thing
mhm,
is, the way it is cash flowing, right?
mm,
I think if it just had paint and some updated appliances, it would be ready to go and you can get another tenant in there because rentals don't have to be in tip-top shape like
mhm.
if you're selling the property, right?
Right, for a homeowner.
Me meaning like to a homeowner. And so when you go in, you take a look, you got to look at all the numbers and all the numbers work really, really well. But for a lot of people, like they don't look at the ability to force appreciation, right? And I think that that's like for us investors, that's a huge thing. And whenever you can go in and you can get forced appreciate, like that if you just did some minor updates like painting the
Mhm,
property, the rent will increase. You need to jump in and make those moves happen. Now, when I run the numbers, right, I calculated based like I used to be a banker, right? So I used to be an actual bank underwriter for the mortgage side. And so we look at investment properties differently than investors underwrite. So you got financial institutions underwrite differently than investors, right? They're very day and night different. Because for banks, they're like, are you gonna pay my money back? Right. For investors, it's am I gonna make money? Right. And those are two very, very different things. So like as an investor, when I go in and I underwrite, of course I include, your mortgage, your taxes, your insurance, your maintenance costs, your repair, vacancy, property management, any
utilities.
utilities that you need to cover, any licensings that you have to put in, any hours that you need to spend and in that specific property to get it up to where it's in a position where it's rentable. And that's not just on a not a one-time thing. That's on an annual basis. Like if your tenant doesn't stay for the following year, because up here in the Twin Cities, I do a 12-month contract, right, for my tenants. And if they decide, "Oh, I'm actually gonna move, my kids need a better school," then I'll have to fill it in, and every time there's a transition, you have to update everything, and as you update things, like, it has to be better looking, and there's gonna be a cost of moving the property to get it back on the market again, and so you got to look at that over time. Can you handle all of these things? So, like on a general note, right? I usually use 25% to cover most of that stuff, not including the mortgage. So it'd be mortgage, taxes, and insurance plus 25% of that the rent, the possible rent in the area, to see if it meets the criteria, see if it even breaks even. And if it does, great. But you want break even and then some so that you can actually get some profitability, right?
Mm.
So
Okay.
like I'm kind of getting ahead of everything we're doing, but the honest truth is you got to make sure that the property does cash flow. So you're gonna have to know the income, you're gonna have to know the expenses, right?
Right, right. And income is, most investors will just do the gross rent, right, of the
Hmm.
total property. So if you have a
Hmm.
duplex time, the units times two or whatever added up, fourplex, whatever, right? Add up all the units, and then you subtract all your expenses that John just mentioned, mortgage, taxes, insurance. A maintenance is usually a factor. If you use 5 to 10%, whatever, of the income. And then repairs, usually some people use 5%. Property management, if you're gonna outsource it, normally it's about 10%.
Hmm.
You can use that. Some PMs use a flat fee per unit or whatever. Utilities, you kind of have to do some research, right, on what utilities would go for in that area for electric, gas, water. It depends who pays water and trash, right? It depends on the municipality. Sometimes the tenants do pay it. Sometimes the landlord ends up paying it, right? But then all your income minus all your expenses, and that's your cash flow, right? Um, and then what do you think is a good cash flow number in your opinion, Johnny? Like your minimum that you would consider like to invest. Yours is probably different than others, though, right?
Yeah, I for me, it has to be like minimum 550.
Oh wow,
If
that's
I'm
big.
not cash flowing, what was that?
That's a big number.
Yeah, yeah, minimum 550.
Okay.
Like, when you have a few under your belt already, right? Then you can be a little bit pickier about what you pick up.
Mhm,
Um, because the thing is that, you got a couple of other properties, they're already making money. Like for me, I don't have to pick up a property, but hey, if it meets the 550 a month, then it makes sense for me to go ahead and jump in.
mhm,
Over like I'll make, approximately 5,000 for the property for the year, right? After paying taxes might be a little less, but we're looking at appreciation as well as
mhm.
the tenants are paying off the principal balance. There's a lot of benefits to it. There's a depreciation and everything. And so if
Tax
I'm
deductions.
getting the 550, right? If I'm getting the 550, I'm happy.
Mhm.
I know a lot of investors that I know, they're like 200 bucks
Yeah,
per unit.
100
They're
bucks
good
per
with it.
unit, they're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, it everybody's number is different, right?
No.
And so
No.
and it also depends on your local area. Hey, you want
Mhm.
500 and it doesn't exist in your area? Well, it's not happening.
That's 100% true. That is 100% true. Like, so, the deal that I'm picking up, right? We're supposed to close Friday, but
Mhm.
the tenants couldn't move in time, and
Okay.
my loan was a little slower than what I had anticipated. They had, some issues with the insurance policy, but
Mhm.
um, like we're planning on closing next week, right?
Yeah.
And I ran the deal, and like the offer that I put in was aggressive. It was extremely aggressive. It came on the market for 315 and I bought it at 250, right?
Damn, that's a
So
great deal.
yeah, so it's gonna cash
That's
flow about
great.
500 bucks. And so
Yeah.
it makes sense for me to jump in. But it's been like 2 years since I bought a house.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Oh,
if you think about it, if you're trying to move fast and you're trying to learn, right? Sometimes if you break even, the learning
that's
and the
true.
knowledge is way more valuable than getting that low cash flow,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
the tuition for learning.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure, for sure.
No, but,
Yeah.
no, that's crazy. 250 in your market. Wow, that's kind of
Mhm.
unheard of. I didn't realize you
Yeah,
guys were that
5
cheap.
bedroom, 2 bath, like, in Brooklyn Park. Yeah,
Cool,
definitely
cool.
unheard of.
That's a good deal. It's a good deal. No, I would've bought it too if they
Yeah,
were dropping that price.
yeah.
Oh, okay, okay. So, Yeah, and then you mentioned, you mentioned there's turnover costs, right? Whenever a tenant leaves, you have to realize that
Mhm,
there's going to be some cost and some downtime, right?
mhm,
Um, you may not be able to fill that immediately, right? Depending on the condition of
mhm.
the property, things like that. You might have to do a little bit of refresh painting, maybe some flooring, some repairs, things like that. Um, and then, so the cash flow thing, there's a lot of investors who, and depending on the area, you may not cash flow, right?
Mhm,
And there's a lot of investors out there that I deal with a lot that say, yeah, it's not going to cash flow or it's not enough for me. I'm not interested, right? And that's kind of all they look at, right? They don't
mhm.
factor
Mhm.
in the potential for appreciation, the area, the desirability, right? That's something the long term, right?
Yep.
And you kind of have, as an investor, I mean, if you don't know what potential is coming to an area, like the path of progress in a city, you're not paying attention to all the developments coming and the amount of people who want to move to an area, and you're not factoring that in, you're missing out big. At least I think so.
Mhm. No, that's absolutely true. Like, for example, we had, why can't I remember his name right now? The guy in Seattle. Um,
Bezos?
what was that? No, 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 no. The guy we had on the podcast.
Oh, CL.
Yeah, CL, CL. I knew it was an acronym, right? We had CL on, and look, he was losing money on rent. Like, I don't know if you remember him talking about it, but he was like, "Yeah, it was okay that I had to pay, extra like 200-300 bucks a month, even
Yeah,
though the
it
tenant
was negative.
couldn't,
Yeah.
pay." Yeah, it was negative
Hmm.
cash flow.
Hmm.
But dude, that appreciation is crazy.
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he went from 200,000 to more like 1.2
So
mil
mil,
or
yeah,
something.
a million
Yeah.
plus. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not
Eh,
over 20 years though,
sometimes
right?
yeah, it took a lot of time, but look, the tenant paid off most of the
His
cost.
balance, right?
Yeah, he
Yes.
paid off a small portion, and
Uh-huh.
now the value of the asset is significantly different because
Mhm.
he knew that it was gonna boom. He knew that was gonna boom. So,
Yeah.
like, he held on to the property, and now, like, I mean, look, if he sold it, he's a millionaire. That's all I can say.
Well, he doesn't have to
And
sell it, right?
exactly, he doesn't because, like, he can rent it and still make the money and take out a cash
Yeah,
out refinance.
right.
The rent will pay for the mortgage. He's got
Mhm.
now cash in hand. He can go do whatever he wants with it.
Oh, yeah,
I mean,
right.
I
That's
think
what,
that that's the
that's
way
what
to
they call
go.
the infinite ROI, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You refinance it, you take out all the money that you initially put in,
Mhm, mhm.
and now the rents cover the new mortgage, and you've already got all your money that you put in that house back into your pocket, and now
Yeah.
you're just collecting the house money, right?
Mhm, mhm.
So yeah, that's the golden the holy grail of investing that a lot of people want to do, the infinite ROI.
Yeah.
Um,
A lot of things to consider. Yeah.
right, right. And then of course, for underwriting, I mean, there are some negatives that you should also probably not forget, right? Like rents don't always just increase.
Mhm.
Depending where your area is, rents could potentially go down. Um, and then also expenses, right? Property taxes go up all the time.
Mhm.
Insurance is
Insurance,
killer
yeah.
right now.
Mhm.
Um, especially for duplexes in Milwaukee, insurances have been going through the roof for investment properties for duplexes. I've had a lot of my investors say, "Hey, Laura, do you have any other insurance agents that I could talk to because they're getting dropped or their rates are going up too high?" And so, yeah, it's tough. Um, and then, of course, the other big one is vacancy, right?
Mhm.
Vacancy changes, right? Depending on the demands, again, supply demand of the rental market, right? And so
Mhm.
that's kind of the research that you have to do. Is your market more renters heavy or homeowners heavy, right? So that's something for you to assess when you're looking at investing in a certain area. Um, all right, and then let's go on to the next section here. All right, so risk versus reward, right? And I think that's kind of like what we talked about earlier about like just talking yourself out of doing things, right? Like saying, "Hey,
Yep.
what if we have bad tenants? What if this breaks? What if the toilet breaks? What if I get a call in the midnight? and toilet's broken, Johnny. What do I do? What do you do, Johnny? What would you do?
If a tenant calls me in the middle of the night and says that the toilet is broken, well, first of all, I buy properties with at least 2 bathrooms. So I'll say, is the water pooling, right? And if it is, you need to shut the water off, right? Then I'll tell them where to shut the water off.
Mhm,
And then I'll just say, I'll send someone over tomorrow.
mhm.
That's usually what I do. Now if it's something major, like the house is burning, right? Then I say call 911, right? Like I'm the last one you should be calling. You need to call 911 and you need to get yourself to safety and get yourself in a
Yeah,
good position.
right.
Because we care about our tenants, right? I try to
Oh,
treat my
yeah.
tenants,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, to the
Yeah.
best of my abilities. And so we want to make sure they're safe. And then after they're safe, we'll say, okay, well, um, since the house burned down, you're probably gonna have to look at another place to find, right?
Mhm,
Just like as if your house burned down, you would have to go and stay at a hotel or something. I don't know, until the house is back in a condition where you can actually move in. Oftentimes, people move in with family in those kind of situations. Like I actually know some people that had gone through that.
mm.
So um, like for me, if something breaks, usually it's next day. Or if I can't get anybody to go out there next day, it might be 3 or 4 days. It depends on the availability of
Yeah,
my crew. Like you got to find a good property uh like so you got to find a good like 3
contractor,
handymans.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, I have so I manage everything myself, right? I
Mm,
don't hire a property manager. The tenants does talk to me directly. We're all on good terms. All of my tenants, like I vet them out, make sure they're good people, make sure, I mean, look, like you can say all people are good people, but sometimes you get nasty tenants, right? So you got to vet them out. And so we vet out all of our tenants, make sure they're really, really good people, and then we try to help them to the best of our ability. Now, when they call and they say something's wrong, I say, I'll get a guy out there. I'll let you know when it's scheduled. That's usually what we do. If I have to go to the property because like, let's say the water just won't stop and they've tried everything that they could, I'll run over there, right? I'll run over there. But those calls are like, I've never had one. So, like,
you're a bad example. You're a bad example.
yeah. I've never had a situation where I had to run back to the property. A lot of times when they call, I'm like, okay, we'll get there in 2, 3 days, and
Yeah,
we'll have someone take a look at it. I'm not a professional, toilet installer, so we're gonna hire that out,
yeah,
and
yeah,
we're gonna
yeah.
make sure a
Exactly,
professional comes in and gets it done
exactly.
correctly, so that when they use it, it
Right,
benefits them, right?
right,
So,
and that's what a lot of first-time investors don't understand is that they
mhm.
think they have to do everything themselves, right?
Yep,
So, "Oh, toilet breaks. Oh, no. Now I have to go deal with it," right?
yep,
Well, you could, but you could also just hire a plumber or a handyman to go do it, right?
yep, yep,
Um, because honestly, like, I self-manage too, and I do a lot of repairs on my own too, but honestly, it sucks to repair stuff on your own.
mhm,
Like, you drive over there, look at the property, see what's wrong, and then you drive to the store and you buy the
mhm,
parts, and then you
mhm,
go back to the house, you fix it, and then you're like, "Oh, crap, I bought the wrong part, don't fit, or
mhm.
it's not gonna work, or something else comes up." You're like, "Okay, now I gotta go back to the store, buy the right part, come back, fix it." So it's a whole ordeal, right?
Yeah. No. No,
Um,
I mean, it could be as
yeah.
simple as like this couple weeks ago, I had to change out a toilet flange, right?
Oh, yeah, that's a
And
pain, dude. I wouldn't have done that one.
actually it's just the piece that covers, it's the piece that drops down and covers it, right?
Okay,
So
okay,
it's
okay.
super easy, super quick.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
went, saw it, I was like, I'll run to the store, grab the item, came back, wrong size. It was instead of a,
Instead
two
of a
inch
3-inch, 4-inch, whatever.
it was a 3 inch, yeah, and I was
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
"Oh
yeah.
my goodness." So then, instead of it being like a 5-minute thing where you run to the store,
Mhm.
you grab the item,
Oh,
you
yeah.
get to the property, you change it out, and you're done.
Yeah.
Now you gotta run back to the store, refund the item, wait in line, right, to refund the item, and then wait in line again to check out.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
it takes up a lot of time, so I just
Right.
recommend, get
Where
a good
right.
handyman.
Whereas you
Um,
call the plumber that you have a relationship with,
yeah.
they have all the parts in their truck.
True, true, absolutely true.
They do. And
Yeah,
if
they
they
come in,
don't,
they're like, oh, this one don't fit, and go to the truck. All right, this one
right.
works.
If
Good
they
to go.
don't, they're gonna go to the store or wherever, right?
Yeah.
So yeah. You save so much more time, and honestly, you're gonna pay them $100 for your time, and now
Mhm.
you can go run more deals, or go look at more properties or whatever, right?
Mhm.
So that's something very important too that we discuss, because it's the do-it-yourself mentality versus hiring it out, right?
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
and if you're a first-time investor, there are some things that you're okay with doing on your own. Um,
Mhm.
Simple things like painting. I still do painting myself, uh, unless it's like a whole place and I need it done quick. Then I hire it out, right? Um, but if I got time, I'm painting myself because I've become a pretty good painter. Other stuff that I suck at is like mudding, drywall. That stuff's a pain in the ass. It's so simple, but you have to have some skill and some patience, right? To make it look
Mhm.
nice. Otherwise, it's gonna look like shit.
Yeah.
All right. And then people are gonna be like, why? Why? Or the landlord special painting, right? Where they paint over all the outlets.
Yeah, that's not cool.
Or they
That's
paint the
not
windows shut.
cool.
Like, what?
Yeah.
Come on now. All right. Yeah. So you you gotta pick and choose. Okay.
Well,
Um,
even like so at first I did all of it myself. I got really good at everything, including mudding and including like I mean plumbing. The only thing I didn't do is electricity because you can burn the house down, right? So
oh, what's the
I
risk?
usually yeah, I usually get a professional out there to check all that stuff. Plumbing is actually pretty easy. It's just these days with all the quick connects and everything,
Oh yeah.
it
Oh
makes
yeah.
things a lot easier to just jump in and fix it real quick, make sure
Mhm.
there's no more issues. But my thoughts are like or unless it's a big project, right? Like windows or roof or something like that, then I don't do it. I hire it out. But if it's a small project, I could pretty much do every single thing inside of the house, but I don't do any of it. I don't. I hire everything out. Like right now, we have I have a house in Maplewood that's being rented, and that house has all these minor things that they need me to fix to get licensed. Like the
Mm.
window opens, but because it falls when you put it up, like you
Oh
have to
yeah.
put it up a certain height before it actually like stays open.
Yeah.
Otherwise, there's a stick. We left the stick in there so that you can use the stick so it doesn't fall on someone
Mm.
and crush someone's fingers or something. Um, so, but the inspector was like, "No, that has to be fixed. It has to
Uh,
be like it has to be able to go up and down. It has to be able to stabilize. You have to counterweight it." And I was like, "All right,
uh,
there's some smoke alarms, all these different things." And I was like, I'm just gonna have someone come through. Like it's just
mhm.
not worth the time to continue to try to fix these small little things and run back and forth to Menards is only like 5 minutes away from that house, which is really really convenient, but still
Mhm.
I'm gonna hire it out. So I do recommend it.
Yep.
Find someone that's really good that you can hire out.
And that's a good point. When you buy an investment property, you get to learn real quick where all the hardware stores are.
Mhm, mhm. So true.
All right, so let's move on and talk about securing the funds, right? What are your loan options, right? And so really your loan options kind of depend on your strategy, right? And if you want a house hack where you potentially get a duplex or a multifamily, 2 to 4 units, those are considered residential. You could also do with a single family, I guess, if you want to rent by the room or whatever, right? Or have roommates, or live in a garage, whatever. But essentially, if you're going to live in the property, what are the loan options, Johnny?
So if you're gonna live in the property and you're gonna house hack, meaning you're gonna either live in one unit and rent out the rest, or live in one room and rent out the rest, whatever
Mhm.
it is you decide you want to do, if you're living in it and you're occupying it, you can actually use like if you've never bought a house before, you can use a first time home buyers loan, right? So
Mhm.
that could be 3% down conventional. You might even be able to get if your community has down payment assistance, you might even be able to get that. Um, as long as you're living in it. And then of course you have conventional 3%, conventional 5%, FHA 3.5%. You got VA loans that are 100%. Of
Mhm.
course, they each have their own qualifications that you have to go through for the specific property, meaning like if you weren't living there, could it pay for itself, right? Those like FHA and VA has those qualifications that are necessary. Conventional don't, but those are things that you have to consider. In addition to that, like when you go out there and you're looking for properties, right? Sometimes you find an investor and they just want to get rid of the property. You
Yeah.
might be able to get them to finance it for you, right? So,
Seller
um,
finance.
yeah, seller finance. And
Mhm.
so you have, a bunch of different ways to finance it if you're going to occupy it, and you have very little down payment needed if you're going to occupy it.
Right,
It's a
right,
little different if you're going to be just using that purely as an investment property. Right.
right, right. Okay. And so, of course, maybe we should talk about mortgage fraud because some people think, oh, well, I'm going to so called live in it and I'm not. What's the repercussion?
Yeah, you could lose everything. You can go to jail. You can pay
Right.
a fine. Like it is not cool.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Yeah, don't like it's I always tell my investor clients, right? If you're coming in and you think that they're gonna catch you on the first one or the second one, right? And let's say you did it on the first and you did it on the second, and then you stopped, right? You legit stopped. And 10 houses later, you've been truly doing everything correctly by the book. They can come back and get you for the first two and take away everything that you put together. And so just don't do it. Like
Right.
I never recommend mortgage fraud for anyone. The ones that I've seen get caught, like it's devastating. It's devastating because if you don't get caught for many years and they catch you later on, they can still come after your whole entire portfolio and be like, you committed fraud at the beginning. That's why you even have anything that you do have. And
Mm,
so um you're gonna have
yeah.
to pay these large fines or go to jail and do time.
Right.
And so uh, I I don't commit fraud. Like if you're gonna house hack, actually go and live in there for 12 months, right?
Right.
Even if it's just lock one room off, right? And that be your room. You can rent out the whole rest of the house, right? Lock one room off, use as your primary for at least 12 months, then give your mortgage company a call and say, "Hey, I'm not like I plan on moving. Um, is it okay if I rent?" And if they say it's okay, then go ahead and rent it out, which 9 times out of 10, they're gonna say it's gonna be fine, right? It's
Mhm,
gonna be
mhm.
fine. Just rent it out after the 12 months, and then you can rent that specific room that you were staying in, right?
Right, right.
So
So, yeah, so the minimum you have to live in a house before you can move on to the next one is 12 months, right? But I mean, there are exceptions, obviously, like if there's
mhm,
life things that happen to you, right? Like,
yeah,
oh, you have to transfer a job, or you
mhm,
lose your job, or stuff like that, right?
no,
Um,
no.
so there's
Circumstance,
exceptions,
right?
right?
Life, yeah.
Right, or maybe you have another child, and all of a sudden you can't live in a one bedroom, right?
Mhm,
So
mhm.
yeah, right. Then you can go move to another house, buy another house, and move it, whatever. Okay. And then let's talk about purely investment property. You're not going to live in it. What are the loan options there?
Yeah, so the loan options are conventional financing, 15% down, right? Minimum 15% down, and that's on a single family home. If
Single
you're
family.
buying a multifamily, you're likely going to have to put more money down, right? Up to
Mm,
25%.
right.
So get ready to, put more money down. DSCR loan, right? If you don't actually, what's super like, I think the DSCR product is a super awesome product, right? So it's here for those that might not show that they make money, but they can figure out how to make rent work, right? So they come in as long as they have the 20% down. Most DSCR still requires 20% down minimum. Some places even require up to 25%. But if your debt service coverage ratio is above 1%, 1.5%, whatever it is, depending on the lender, um, you can get in off the qualification of the income from the property itself without your own income. And so if you got 20% down, you can run through a DSCR. Then, of course, if you are a local investor and there happens to be a local bank that has different programs, right? Because they favor, people who are providing housing to the community, they might be willing to give you different rates, different down payments, different programs, right? So I'd recommend you get involved in your community to find out if there is someone that does something as such.
Right.
And then, of course, there are portfolio and private lenders, right? So, from my perspective, portfolio lenders will be lenders that are unordinary lenders, like they're actually licensed and operating as a mortgage company, but they just do specifically rental properties.
Mhm.
And they have, of course, different down payments as well. Private lenders, right? If you get lucky and you find a super rich uncle or doctor, right, you might be able to get them to finance it 100%, right? As long as the numbers work.
Mhm.
So with private investors and private lenders, you may be able to do deals that you never thought of that could be possible. And like, let's say, for example, you don't qualify at all, right? Let's say your credit is shot, you don't have any down payment, but you found this deal that is crazy solid, right? And you're going to make $1,000 a month on the rent, right? You might just have a guy that is a private lender that might just be like, hey, all the numbers work. Your credit is just horrible. Give me 10%. Can you do 10% on top of the monthly payments? Because if you can, right, then I'll jump in, right? Or maybe I'll buy it and you run it, right? Kind of
Mhm.
deal. So there's a bunch of different things that you can do to get financing. Look around, talk to
Yep.
people, reach out to people like us, right, in the community.
Like Johnny, your rich uncle. So yeah. So just to recap, DSCR, right? Debt service coverage ratio loan. No income of your own. All
Hmm.
you do is they look at the rents. They project the rents of
Yep.
that property, and as long as the rents can cover the expenses, which they call the ratio, right?
Hmm.
Then depending on the ratio, there could be a one, meaning it just breaks even,
Hmm.
or usually it's 1.15, 1.2. Higher the better, right?
Hmm.
The higher the better, the lower your interest rate's going to be. Um, a lot of, and then the down payment you already mentioned is 20-25% usually. Um,
Yep.
Now, a lot of investors will ask, well, what are the rates, right? What are the rates? So how would you compare if you're going to house hack, if you're going to use a conventional loan or FHA loan rate? How does that compare to a purely conventional versus a DSCR?
So, I mean, this is the way I look at it, right? This is just from my
Mhm.
perspective. If you're buying it and you plan on living in it, right? You're gonna be able to write it off on your taxes as your primary home. You can write off the interest, right? Of course, talk to your CPA. I don't know where your income level is, so you're the amount that you're gonna be able to write off is gonna be different for each person. But you may be able to write off all of the interest, right? If you're living in the property, occupying the property. If you're truly an investor, right? As long as the monthly payment's getting paid, I don't think it really matters because you do write it off. Like, I don't know about you, Laura, but I write off 100% of my interest on every property that I have, right? Like, it's a line item on my Schedule E, and I put it in there. They don't count it towards the income. And I only make like whatever profits I have, that's what they count, right?
Mm,
So my
I
thoughts
don't
are
know
is
either.
that
I let my CPA
yeah.
do it. I don't do anything.
Well, I mean, like, yeah,
I do
My
whatever he
CPA does
does.
it too. But on my specific taxes, right, it's a write-off line, and I just, like, I don't know. Interest, as long as when I say as long as the monthly payment, right? The reason I say
Mhm.
that is because you have the cash flow, right? If
Yeah,
you're gonna plan on keeping it for a while, you better cash flow or your appreciation better increase. Whatever the reason you're entering into that specific transaction, you got to make money on it somehow.
yeah.
But
Mhm.
the interest doesn't really matter because
Yeah.
it's all
Right.
written off at the end of the year.
Mhm.
So when people come to me and they're like 8%, I can't do 8%. It's like, wait, hold
Or
on.
that's
Like our
high. That's high.
DSCR, yeah, our DSCR is 1.5. Yeah, the interest rate is high, but you're gonna write it off anyways. So
And as long as the
what
numbers make
is
sense, right? So,
yeah,
um,
exactly. That's what it
well, I
comes down
mean,
to. 'Cause
I guess my question initially was I was getting more towards how do those interest rates compare to each different type of loan program, right?
yeah, they're higher,
Um,
right?
yeah.
DSCRs, yeah, they're
So
gonna be higher.
right, right. So of course your lowest interest rate that you can get is going to be your personal residence that you're going to live in, right? It's a house
Mhm,
hack, right?
mhm,
So let's say so that'll be the par. So we'll call that if today, so we'll say it's 6.5, right? So we'll say that that's 6.5. Now, if you're going to do a duplex, it's usually half percent higher, right? So
mhm,
then a single
mhm.
family. So realize that too. So if it's a single family, it's going to be like 6.5. If it's a duplex, it's going to be like a half a point higher. So you're going to be at a 7. Now, if you're going to look at a purely conventional loan for you're not going to live there at all, well, that's a little bit more risky in the eyes of the bank. That might be even a little bit higher, right? So
Mhm,
another
mhm.
25 basis points, 0.25 or zero point 0.5 on top of that.
Yeah.
Now, the DSCR is going to be even more risky, right? So
Mhm.
now you're looking at potentially another zero point 0.5 on top of all the other things we said to maybe even a point higher. So it's kind of how
Right.
it stacks up. And the nice part with the DSCRs, if you talk to us, we can help you set up your loan so that it's a little bit more friendly on the interest rate, right? And that
Mhm.
might mean higher down payment. That might mean prepayment penalty. Right. So there's things that we can do to help you out. So
Mhm.
talk to us about that.
Yeah, I'd like to add that
All right.
DSCR documentation is a lot easier
Oh
than a
yeah. Oh
conventional
yeah.
documentation, right?
Right.
Like you come in, and if you're an investor, right, they're gonna want to look at your tax returns and everything about every property, and you're gonna have to get the mortgage statement for every property that you send in. You do a DSCR, they only care about the specific property, right?
Mm.
They don't care about your taxes.
Or your job. Your job. They
Yeah,
don't even
or
care
your
that you have
job,
a job. You don't
right?
even need to have a job.
Exactly, exactly. So you can come in self-employed, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Investor doesn't matter, right? If the property qualifies for itself from an income perspective, you're gonna be good. So like for me, for this specific property, I sent them the rental numbers. I
Mhm.
sent them the what is it? Like I didn't send in any personal income documents,
Right.
right? They
Right.
didn't
Just
have to look at my tax returns. I
mhm.
guarantee you, because I'm self-employed,
Yep.
everyone's gonna want, like every conventional, every FHA, those type of lenders is gonna want
Oh,
my tax returns. And
uh-huh.
like I have convoluted tax returns, right? That sometimes I have a hard time reading. So
Yeah.
like I'd rather not send that over and just do a
Uh-huh.
DSCR and get it
Right.
done. Even though the rates are higher, it doesn't really matter to me.
It doesn't
Right.
matter. Yeah.
So mhm.
Yeah. One thing it does matter is your FICO, so your credit score. So for
True.
DSCR, your credit score does matter.
Yep.
Usually 680 and higher, right?
Yep, 680 or higher, and the higher the better, because when you get down to 680, your interest rate's looking like 9%, right? So, um, like, I mean, don't quote me. The times are gonna change and rates are gonna shift, right?
Yeah.
Um, but as of today, yeah, if you got a lower than 680 FICO or 680 FICO score, right?
Mhm.
The qualifying FICO score, you're gonna
Right.
be looking at higher interest rates.
Right.
So,
Right. Right. Okay. Okay. So then the next thing, right? Down payment.
mhm, mhm,
Down payment, which is what a lot of people. Okay, where's the money? Where's the money gonna come from? Right. So,
yeah.
depending what type of loan you're looking at, we already talked about the down payment percentages. Now, where is the source of funds going to come from? Right. So, as loan officers, we have to know where's your
Mhm,
money. Do you have it in your
mhm,
accounts? Your checking, your saving, right? If
mhm.
not, what other sources that a lot of people don't think of, Johnny, that they have?
I mean, you're normally people either have checkings or savings, right? And that's all that they're working on.
Mhm.
But when you're looking to do these things, you have gift funds, right? You have rich uncle, he can help you out, give you a gift. Same with your parents, same with your I think this has to be someone that's close to you, right? A gift has to be from someone that's close to you, brother, sister, mom, dad, uncle, aunt, grandma, grandpa, right? It can't be like a random friend that's giving you a gift fund. That just doesn't work. But you can also get funds from, like, if you currently own a home and you have a ton of equity, you can get a home equity loan. You
Mhm.
can, I think one of the most powerful ones is a 401k loan. So,
Mhm.
like, I I know that when I was working, it didn't work this way for me, but for some companies out there, it does. Like, I know I have a buddy of mine, every time he takes money out from his 401k, any interest he pays on the loan is paid to himself in the 401k,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
So, if you logic that out, right? The money's still in there. It's still earning whatever money that it needs to earn on an annual basis. You take the loan out, yes, you have a bigger monthly payment than a home equity loan, right? But you're paying yourself, and the
Yep.
interest is to you.
Mhm.
And if your loan is that way, not everybody's going to be like that, but if your loan is that way, not only are you paying interest to yourself, but it's like you're using money that's not yours to make interest for you. I mean, and your money is already making its own money. I think that's huge, right?
Yeah. 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 No.
Um,
Yeah. Well, technically, the money is yours. It's your 4K, right? But
well, so if you're taking a loan and the
yeah.
money's still sitting in there, it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
extra money, right?
Right. 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 Right.
That you didn't have because it's
Well,
still earning.
it's technically yours, but you're borrowing against it, right?
Right, right.
But now, if you have a company where they match, right? I think. Well, I'm not entirely sure if you can borrow money that's not vested yet. Maybe it's only vested money, right? So
Every company's different, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Every
yeah,
company's
yeah.
different. We
But
can't.
anyway,
Yeah.
I like to look at it from the standpoint of, you know what, my 401k is not being used at all,
Mhm,
and
mhm,
if I got a 50k, 100k 401k, and I'm not gonna touch it until I'm 60, whatever the new age is now that you can touch it. I'm gonna if I can borrow that money today to buy me a house today, I'm gonna do that, right?
mhm, mhm.
And I'll pay myself back, right? And like you said, if you pay
Absolutely.
your own interest back, you're paying yourself back. So who
No.
cares, right? And you're
Mhm.
using that money today to help you uh, generate wealth in the future, right?
No. No.
So I think so most 401ks, I believe, depends too, but I don't know if they change the rules, but 50% of your balance or 50k. So yeah. And it could take anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks to pull that money out. So just so you know. So
Yeah. Start
um,
in advance, right? Get
right,
that
right,
going.
right. As soon as you go under contract, get that paperwork on.
Mhm.
um, and then other things you mentioned already are grants, right?
Yeah.
So if you're a first time home buyer, or even you don't some of these grants you don't even have to be a first time home buyer. Some lenders are just giving this money to you, right? And
Mhm.
so if you're gonna house hack, uh, you could potentially get into a house for like a couple $100, right? That depends on the price and all that stuff. But I've I've helped people do that, right? Where they bought a duplex to house hack, and they were getting like 10,000 in down payment assistance grants. Um, so it's pretty amazing, you know. You just gotta know, right? You gotta talk to
Mhm.
people and go learn what's possible, right? And then we already talked about partnering with someone. And I don't know. I think that's pretty much it. Other things, life insurance. If you have life insurance with cash value, you could borrow that, right?
Mhm.
Um, Other assets that you might have, cars, toys that you don't use anymore, right? Motorcycles, boats, whatever. Sell those things, right? Pokemon cards, right? So,
Yeah,
crypto,
you can definitely
right?
sell things.
Crypto,
Yeah.
stocks, and things like that, right? y- those are your funds, right, for down payment. And then something very important right now, like especially in, like we mentioned earlier, in a slow market like this, you can use your negotiating power, right? So what we mean is like, hey, seller, I see you want 300,000. I'm going to offer you that 300,000. I see your home's been sitting for like 30 days. I'll offer you that 300,000, right? Your house is probably worth that, but I want like 15,000 or whatever amount back to me at closing as seller credit to help me with my closing costs. So now potentially the seller is covering a lot of your closing costs, right? So you bring less money to the closing table, which that allows you as an investor to spend that money instead of 15K on closing costs. Now you have 15K to go repair the house, right? Spend on flooring, painting, appliances, whatever, right? So that's super powerful, right? Or if you're like Johnny, I want a 30K discount and I want 30K in seller credit, and they might be like, oh, okay.
You never know. You never know if it's like, if you know the motivation of the sellers, it gives you leverage.
Right, exactly. Right, exactly.
And so if you have the conversation, look, if you have a realtor like one of us, right, who are savvy in investing, and they call up the listing agent, they're like, hey, why do they want to sell? And they're like, oh, like it's not actually their property. Their parent died. They just want to get rid of it. Right. And that's why it's not fixed. That's why it's a mess. And like they try to clean it up, but they just don't have time. They actually, like, it's in Minnesota, it's snowing, and they live in Florida and they hate coming up. Dude, motivation factor after motivation factor, and no one's made an offer yet. It's time for you to make an offer.
Oh yeah, heck yeah, yep. So yeah, it's all about opportunity, right? And all right, so to wrap up here, or sorry, one other thing before we get to that is a lot of investors or people in general, just people in general, they don't like the idea of having debt, right? So we talked about loans. I had a brand new investor call me for a consultation, and the whole time he was running his little mortgage calculator. He was looking at the amount of interest that he would have to pay at the end of 30 years. And he was like, Lord, so you're telling me if I buy this $300,000 investment property that's going to cash flow this and that and blah, blah, blah. And then look at all the interest I'm going to have to pay by the end of the 30 years. I'm going to pay like pretty much a little bit over like the cost of the house. So basically double, right? Man, I'm just going to pay it cash. I was like, oh my gosh, like you don't understand the power of leverage and the power of risk here, right? When you're able to qualify to borrow money from a bank and you only have to put down 3%, right? 3% you're only putting down, the bank is going to put up the rest for you. If something happens in your life or whatever, your situation, you can't pay that, the bank is taking that risk. Right? If your plan fails, right, the bank is taking the risk. Whereas,
well, I mean, I look at it like this, right? The bank does underwriting. The bank does underwriting, and that's like another level of risk mitigation. My thoughts are is bring it through the bank. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, the bank is helping you, right? So that's that's another way to look at it. Is that the bank is helping you to underwrite the deal because that's what they're doing. If it doesn't cash flow, the bank's gonna tell you, "Heck no, I'm not giving you this money.
Yep.
That's a stupid deal. Go away." That's what they're helping you with. But I'm talking about more from the standpoint of there's people like a Dave Ramsey type mindset. Oh, cash is or debt is bad. Debt is bad. Just cash everything, right? I'm like, no, you have to understand that there's good debt and there's bad debt, right? And if you're gonna take a loan on a mortgage and the loan on the mortgage is 6%, but your ROI that you calculated is say 12%, 12% minus 6%, there's a 6% spread. You're winning, right? You're borrowing money from the bank and you're making another 6% on their money, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you spend all the money cash, all your cash is gone. Right? So that's just something that that some people just don't understand the power of leverage. Obviously, you don't want to be over leveraged, right? That's another problem that a lot of people are having. Where like for example, people who leverage credit cards, right? That's bad debt. If you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 credit cards and you're racking them all up and you can't pay them all, that's a problem.
Yeah. That is a problem.
That's a
I mean,
problem.
I I think everybody's, perspective is gonna be different on this. I got
Mhm,
people that
mhm,
like debt. I have people that dislike debt.
mhm.
There's more people that dislike debt than there are people that like debt, right? That from my experience anyways,
Yeah,
personal experience. But my thoughts are this: do what you're comfortable with, right?
true.
Le My thoughts are is that if you're leveraging for to something that has value and increases in value,
Mhm.
you're gonna win no matter what, right? Go ahead
Right.
and do the leverage. If you're gonna leverage something like, look, this is all I'm gonna say, right? I'm gonna go back to the Tundra example. You you will buy a Toyota Tundra for $80,000 to $100,000, but you won't invest in a property. I don't know. It floors me. It doesn't make any sense, but people do it all the time. And if you're worried, like, look, if you're worried
Mhm.
about debt, you're probably sitting in a good position. My hopes is you don't buy a Tundra, but right, buy
Oh,
the house
man.
before the Tundra. Buy the house before the Tundra.
Buy the investment property first,
Yeah,
have the cash flow, pay for your Tundra,
yeah, for
right?
life, right,
Don't
for
ruin your
life.
credit. Don't ruin your credit by having too much debt on your Tundra, and you can't even buy the investment property now,
Right, right.
right? Oh,
So,
man, yeah, I had that happen already where I had,
so
people come apply for a loan, and I'm like, "Dude, it says you have, like, a $70,000 car loan here." "Oh, yeah, I just pulled that out last month to buy a Tundra." "Oh, shit."
mhm,
Yeah, you're not qualifying anymore for a house. Your Tundra
yeah.
payment is a mortgage payment.
It is, dude. It legit is. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
rent
yeah. Oh, well,
for a
especially
house.
nowadays. No, especially nowadays, right, with cars. Car
Yeah.
car car prices are crazy, and
I
interest
don't
rates
care
too
if your
for
monthly
cars.
payment is 7 years long, and it's cheaper.
Yeah.
$70,000. I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah,
buy a house. Buy a house.
right, right. But yeah, no, that's another point. Like, people are okay with paying car loans that are like 10%, 12%, 20%, whatever.
Mhm,
But, um, you know, they're when they look at a mortgage rate of 6% or 7%, they're like, "Oh, that's high."
mhm.
Oh, but
Yeah,
anyway,
and
so that
yeah,
yeah,
buy
and
assets, not liabilities, and feel free to use debt if
leverage that
needed.
smartly.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, and like we mentioned, your tenant is helping you to pay your mortgage down, um, and then at the same time, right? It's it takes time overtime to pay that down, and in the future, you have this fixed debt, right? It's fixed, right? And it's already set. And you're going to pay it with future dollars, where inflation is going to basically,
Increase. Yeah.
right?
Your
Your
rent's gonna increase, your
Yeah,
monthly mortgage is gonna stay the same. Tax and insurance will go up, but the mortgage itself will stay the same.
right,
So,
right. So I mean, that's kind of how you play the game, how the wealthy play the game, right? And if you, you have to understand that's how wealthy people play the game. They borrow debt, right? Uh,
mhm, mhm.
so just like we were talking about earlier, if your house has equity, you take the debt out. Because guess what? Let's look at it this way. If you have 100K equity and you go borrow that 100K out, is the IRS is not going to take any taxes from that.
Mhm,
If tomorrow
mhm.
you got a 100K bonus, guess who
Yeah,
also
you
got
only get
some
50% of that.
bonus? Guess who else got some bonus money?
Yeah, Uncle Sam gets bonus on that.
All right, all right. So hopefully that helps to explain some things for some people. Uh,
Mhm, mhm.
okay. And so now let's go to the 90-day plan here, right? So the 90-day plan, putting everything together for you, right? Here's your roadmap to buying your first investment property in 2026, right? So what are people's first steps, Johnny, that they should be
Alright.
doing?
First steps, uh, talk to me Allure. Get your
Somebody like
pre-approval.
that. Yeah.
Get your pre-approval. Get your um get your realtor online and then find out what your buying box is. What exactly do you want to buy? What kind of money do you actually want to make from a cash flow perspective? Um, and then analyze. So step one, pre-approve, right? Step two, um, create your buying box. Step three, analyze 5 to 10 deals weekly. Make sure that you're doing your due diligence, making sure that you find something that actually cash flows. Then when you see it, like the more you do it, the better you're gonna get at it, right? Then when you see the properties that you're like, dude, like based on all the numbers, this is gonna cash flow. I can just tell. Start touring the properties and start making offers. Take a look at it. If it's exactly what you want, right? Make an offer. Talk to realtors. They'll do an evaluation on the property to find out, what the value is in the market, both from an income perspective and both from a just market based perspective. If you want to buy something big, then it's just going to be income based, right? If you're going to buy things that are like 5 units plus, then we're going to be looking at just income based. But if you're looking at the specific property that is, 1 to 4 units, that's considered residential. And so because of that, like there's some benefits around it and different types of lending, right? And then once you make an offer, then go through the process, buy the house. Once you buy it, rent it out, go through the learning process, right? Then build your network, get to know agents, get to know lenders, get to know contractors, investors. Like for me, my handyman is like the best thing ever. And the reason I say that is because GCs, general contractors, they're expensive, but handymans, they'll jump in there, they're quick, they get it done for cheaper, and it's just less hassle, right? If you got a good GC, you can use them for the same thing, right? But usually they have a team that's on the side. The team comes in, they'll hammer it out, right? So general contractors can get bigger jobs done faster, where your um your small home improvement guy, he's going to come in and just do the minor things, right? And then finally, stay consistent. Remember your goals, right? And you're gonna learn in the process. Just know that it's a learning process. But once you get good at it, dude, I don't know, Laura, is it easy for you?
It's easier now. Yeah. Yeah. It's just like
Yeah.
you said, right? You analyze deals, you practice, right? Um, and you kind of just roughly know, like just by looking at you look, all it takes is just looking at the market, right? Hey,
Mhm.
what listings are out there? Understanding the price points of this neighborhood versus that neighborhood,
Mhm.
especially if you have a target area that you want to be in. When you
Yep.
see a good deal, you're like, that's a good deal. Right.
Mhm.
I need to
Mhm.
jump on that one. Right. Let me call my agent. Right. Um,
Yeah.
right. So it just takes time and practice. And of course, underwriting that takes time too.
Mhm.
And, I always encourage my investors to learn how to underwrite their own deals. And then I tell them to send it to me. I'll look at it for them. Right. I generally don't underwrite for my investors. I don't do it because my criteria is different from them. Right. Johnny's
Yep.
criteria is different from mine.
Mhm.
My deal criteria might look like trash to Johnny. Johnny be like, no, I'm not buying that. Get out of here. Right. It's the truth, right? And whereas
It is true. Yeah.
somebody else might be like, that's a great deal, $50 a month cash flow. I'm buying that. Like,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part as a brand new investor. You have to know what you're looking for, right? Um, don't be that investor who says, I'm buying anything. Just send me a deal. I'm looking at everything. Oh, okay, great. It's like finding a needle in a haystack at that point because you have no
Yeah.
idea what you're looking for,
Yep.
right? So your agent can't help you either, right? But when you have a more defined, like, hey, here I'm looking for a duplex, I'm looking for this neighborhood, this price point, I want this kind of cash flow. Okay, now you're giving your agent, your partners a better idea of exactly what you're looking for. So now they know what to look for you, right? Um, yeah. Anything else you want to add?
No, I think that kind of covers it, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So yeah, I mean, just to wrap up, so our podcast is all about wealth building, right? And your first investment property, like we said, it's not going to make you rich, right? But it will change your mindset. Your second one will be much easier. You're going to build momentum, right? Potentially your third or fourth one might benefit you, right? Now it's going to supplement your income, right? Especially if you have a W-2, right? But if you get up to 10 or more, I mean, can you imagine what it's going to do for your future generation, right? Your generational wealth, right? Your children's, right? Um, but real estate investing, it isn't overnight success. It isn't like 1 to 2 year boom, right? It's not going to be like that. It requires discipline, strategy, and patience. So it's a long journey. It's a long game, right? But if we were able to help you, shed some light on anything, provide some value to you, please help us out. Hit the like button. Share this episode out with somebody who you might want to partner with, or your spouse to give you the thumbs up to start investing, right? If you need the approval. But yeah, stay tuned for future episodes just like this one. We're working the next episode. Not sure what that's gonna be yet, but
Hey, can I give a bonus tip before we get off?
yeah, yeah.
So when I first wanted to get into real estate at the age of 21, my wife was like, "No, we don't have the money. We don't have the time, and you shouldn't get in it." Right. And that was absolutely true. But today, looking back, I wish I had gotten in and met the right people, because I could have done the analyzing and I could have went in deals with them,
Mhm.
right? And got paid in that process of just doing the work. You don't have to have the down payment, right? If you have the right partners for it. You don't have to qualify for a loan if you have the right partners for it. You don't look, it's build a network and get out there, understand the business, and jump in. And I wish that I had looked into it further when I was much younger, so that I can get with the right people to have the current mindset that I have today, because I would have been able to build wealth. Like, I think I waited 10 years, dude. Like,
Mm.
analysis paralysis, like we talked about that at first. I waited 10 years to get in my first deal. I got to the point where I was like, I don't care what you say anymore. I'm just going to buy a property. And so she finally gave in and was like, okay, fine. But like, it changed our lives,
Oh
guys.
yeah,
Like,
yeah,
real
yeah.
estate changed our lives. And so my thoughts are is that, hey, even if you can't get in from a financial perspective, get to know the numbers. And more
Mhm,
recently, I heard a podcast with Ken McElroy, right?
mhm.
And most people know who he is. He works with Robert Kiyosaki and those guys from Rich Dad Poor Dad and so on.
Yep.
He said, if I had to do everything over again, I just find a big multifamily deal and solve a problem. And if I
Mm,
could do that and I can find partners in it, I'll make money. And it's a guarantee. And dude's a billionaire, right?
mhm.
So, like, I want to, for those that want to get in but have a spouse that just don't know about it, right? Well, they don't know about it because they haven't experienced it, right? Dude, when my wife started seeing the money roll in, she was cool with it. So
Oh,
that's it.
that's always a good thing. Yeah, yeah,
That's all the
yeah.
bonus I got for you. That's pretty much all the time that we have. So,
Yeah. No, I
yeah.
think that's a good tip. And yeah, I mean, wherever you're at in your life, right? Whether you're 18, 15, 40, 60, whatever, right? And you've never
Mhm,
gotten to real estate investing yet. Um,
mhm,
take the time to at least learn, right?
mhm,
Become knowledgeable.
mhm,
But even with knowledge, you do have to take action, right? Because just having the knowledge and not doing anything with it, it's not going to do it. It's not going to help you, right? It's not progress, right? You have to put the action to use, put the knowledge to use. Yeah, I just helped a client recently, and he was in his 40s, I think, and he was a first time investor, and he's like, dude, I've been learning for like 3 to 5 years, researching. I haven't done anything. I
mhm.
haven't taken action. And he's just been researching. And then he's like, I have a great job, but I have nothing. If I lose this job, I have nothing. Like, I don't have any wealth of my own, you know? And he had been interviewing agents, right, in his local area. And he's like, I don't think these agents are the right agents. They don't understand investment speak, because he knows, because he's been
Studying it.
researching, right? He's been
Yeah.
studying. And then
Yeah.
same thing when he was talking to loan officers in his area, the local market in his area, he's like, the guy in my credit union doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I could have told you that, yeah. But yeah, you have to talk to the right people, right? And that's what it is. Even if you're not ready to do it, but be courteous at least. Don't waste people's time. Don't don't ask for people's time and then not, you know, be respectful, right? Because people are busy, right? That we're willing. There's investors who are willing to give back and help out a future person that used to be them, right? There was a first time for all of us, right? And of
Yeah.
course, we want to help people out, but if you're just there to waste somebody's time and you're not respectful, then obviously nobody wants to help that kind of mentee, right? But the thing is, even if you don't have the money, you're not ready to take action right now, at least learn, be prepared, talk to the right people, and who knows, maybe you can be their assistant. You provide value a different way, right? Like I said
Yeah.
earlier, maybe you have a great credit score, maybe you got an 800 and we need a loan. So yeah, but yeah, that's pretty much it for this episode. Thank you guys for watching. Have a great night.
Yeah. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Later.
Later.